Wow.
Good morning, everyone. If you could take a seat, we'll get started. Excuse me, everyone. We're going to get started. If you're standing in the back, if you wouldn't mind taking a seat, we're gonna get going this morning. All right, thank you all. My name is Caleb Elledge, General Manager, Chief Operating Officer of Seabrook Island Club. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy schedules to come and see us this morning. We have some pretty exciting stuff to go over. A couple of things. We are excited about being on the cutting edge of technology. This is a live webcast, so there are at least 45,000 people, I'm sure, that are tuning in right now. We're thrilled with that. Before I forget, one of the ground rules, please, for today is when we get to the Q&A, we have some wireless microphones. The sound system is tied into the recording, so if you do have a question, please just bear with us for a few minutes until we can get a microphone to you so you can ask it. That way, those that are watching and on the recording, that your question can be heard. Otherwise, they're not going to pick it up. We're also going to be taking questions via email from those that are watching the live webcast, and we're excited about this technology, and we'll see how it goes. Anyway, again, thank you all for coming. Very excited. So why are we here? We're here today because of the success of the Horizon Plan, which we all are currently enjoying by being in this building. We've had many great years ahead of membership. Utilization is strong, and we have been aggressively reducing our debt obligations over the past several years. However, though the facilities may feel new in a lot of regards, there is some datedness, and they are overtaxed to a degree. There are future phases to come with the master plan, and it is important that we identify those, and we identify the infrastructure that can be paired with also continued enhancements. The Facilities Planning Committee has partnered with the McMahon Group and have developed a conceptual master plan. Some of the slides are the images you've seen in the back of the room, and that's what we're going to be discussing today. Part of the process is obviously to get member feedback. So your feedback to the plan, your feedback on your preferences, we do want as we go down the road of finalizing this plan. So why are we doing this now? It's important that we always do what we can to maintain and grow the value of membership. We're constantly talking about ways that we can improve the operation, not only for today's members, but for tomorrow's members, which is extremely important. And we need to both replace existing items at the same time looking forward to what are the beneficial enhancements that we can bring to you and tomorrow's Seabrookers. There's three primary areas that we're going to be discussing today. Beach Club Pool Complex, the Ocean Winds Golf Course Master Plan, and various enhancements and changes to the Island House. The agenda for today. We're going to talk about the planning program, what we have done, who's been involved. We're going to talk about various strategic improvements. We're going to talk about the financial plan, which I'm sure is a top consideration of everyone in this room. We'll discuss next steps, where the future of this process is going to go, and then we'll allow time for questions and answers at the end. I want to thank the Facilities Planning Committee, Bob Nairhood, Doris Reinhardt, Don Romano, Larry Buckman, Warren McCulloch, Jeff Ward, Fred Finke, and Patty Balmer, our Chief Financial Officer, all involved in the process, and it has been a great process. And I also want to thank Frank Vane of the McMahon Group, who is here with us today. The McMahon Group is a strategic and long-range planning consultant for private clubs, and I can say they are the number one and most sought-after master plan and consulting group in the private club industry. Founded in 1983, over 2,000 engagements at private clubs at all sizes. You can see some logos of some community clubs there on the right, some wonderful facilities that they have represented and done the master planning for. I am extremely honored and have enjoyed my time working with Frank and the McMahon Group. And without further ado, I will introduce Mr. Frank Vane.
Thank you, and thank you, Caleb, for those kind words. We hope you're clapping at the end of the presentation, too. So, I ordered this weather for us so that we could all get together on a nice cloudy day and not be distracted by golf and those other fun things that you do when you're here. But it's been a real pleasure to be part of the program, and we're thrilled to bring this information out to you today and over the course of the next couple months, really, as this process unfolds. You know, as I say, the board charged the Facilities Planning Committee with really identifying the next round of major capital improvements for the club. And, you know, as you do in those programs, we've looked at a lot of options and talked about a lot of things. I think you saw in your annual meeting report, even going back into last year, of 60 and 70 ideas and all those kinds of things that kind of been filtered. And as we say here, really looking at sort of the large scale ideas. And ultimately, that led to this process where we're bringing this back to you as the membership today to start to get members involved in what's come out of that discussion and sort of think about the next steps with that. So it's real important to realize this is a process. We're going to show you a lot of slides. This is probably one of the most important slides in the deck. What we have for you today is a plan. It's not yet a proposal. We're not recommending anything. We're not voting on this as it's currently constructed. It's really the product, the work product of the committee as they've gone through that thinking and have put something together in this regard. And we're really only here kind of sort of over in step two. They've developed that conceptual plan, and we're going to have these member informational meetings this week. Everything that you see in the presentation will be sent to every member, no matter where they are, in all categories. They'll get that in kind of a written booklet format, electronic version of that coming out of that. And embedded in that will be a survey questionnaire. And that will allow you to rate, prioritize, and comment on all aspects of the plan. The goals behind it, what the committee is trying to accomplish, how they've approached it, and what they're recommending, and certainly even the financial matters with all of that. So that's really important to process. A lot of times that we say that and it gets sort of pushed aside, or they go, yeah, we're doing that. The importance of that is that we're going to make a decision when everyone has a chance to weigh in, and really trying to enroll everyone in the planning process and get everybody involved in that. So if we take that down to today, we really don't need to win the debate in the room here today. We're not going to change anything about the plan based upon what anybody says in the meeting. We want you to leave with good information and understand what it is that we're talking about. But it's when, really, we hope as many, 1,000 or more folks weigh in through the survey, we'll really have the data we need to sit down with the plan and say, okay, let's finalize our approach, right? And that can shift that as to, more or less in terms of the size of the plan, how ultimately we decide to fund the plan. All those things are there. So we think we have good answers for you. We're interested in getting your feedback and opinion on all those sorts of things. We will publish the results of that survey. So you'll see the same kind of information that's coming back to your board and committee. And only then will we take the plan and make some adjustments to it, and or maybe we'll proceed just as it is if the favorability is there. And then out of that then could come something that's recommended and structured as a voting referendum to the membership. So this will really take place over the next several months. We even have a time schedule to it that you'll see later, but frankly, if there's sort of more thinking in this process as we get the information back, we're looking to get it right, and that's really the important takeaway with all of it. So obviously, as we look at thinking about the future, it's important to think about where we are and what drives the success of the club today. And for you, like all great clubs and those who are prosperous and growing, it's really the combination of what you offer here, right? It's not just one single thing. Might be a golfer, might be like the dine, go to the beach, all those sorts of things. It's really the way that you put that all together. And frankly, when we see in our path of travels, if you look at the clubs that really succeed there, when you can put a beach and golf together and all those sorts of things, really starts to have a competitive advantage over what other folks are able to do up and down in our coastal communities here. And so. Certainly the combination of social, recreational dining, the entertainment aspects that go with all that, and as you set forth in the Horizon Plan originally, in high quality facilities, right? And so facilities, having the right facilities are the way that we're able to create the programs that we need, drive the interaction, and ultimately drive why we believe you're ultimately here is to meet, socialize, and enjoy other people, right? And our facilities, when they're right and well designed and in good condition, promote that for us. There's a lot of change going on in the world of private clubs. We could spend a lot of time on this, tried to boil it down to one slide, but the word monumental there is not over-exaggerated. We see a very different world in the private club world today. I've had the chance to be part of it for 35 or more years today, but we're more casual. Golf is important, but maybe not as important as it once was. The non-golf experience is more important to people today than it was. We live in a more casual world. All those things are factors. And as social organizations, we process that, and we have to think about that. Our self-interest is one aspect of that, but clearly the notion of attracting the replacement members. Members tend to age out, and we look at attracting the next generation. So we've got to keep our eye on both of those things. And so, reinvesting in golf is an important component with that, and having fun facilities like great pools that are very attractive to young families as they consider clubs and memberships. And again, the way we socialize and dine today is far different. The importance of the hospitality environment, the look and feel of that, even in the 10 years or so since the building was designed, has changed and continue to change rapidly. So we'll walk you through each of the three plans. We'll start with the pool. And I would tell you that today there is no more impactful investment that you could make in terms of perpetuating the success of your club and attracting the next generation of members than investing in a swimming complex. It really is kind of a magnet, brings people in. And when we look at the pools today, you have it's there, but essentially it's a 40-year-old amenity. And like anything, expectations have changed over that time. Most importantly, the window of opportunity to really upgrade that facility is closing, right? And so that's an important driver. And you'll see this, and both on the golf there, you really have this intersection of enhancement opportunity and infrastructure replacement, right? And so 40 years old, it's about the end of the useful life of a pool, and yet, and if we let that expire, and we're sitting here 5, 6, 7 years from now, we really would not have the kind of options to improve it that are available to you today. Additionally, in our practice, through research and what we pick up and interviewing members, prospective members, and those sorts of things across the country, we've taken at McMahon Group to calling that the gateway amenity. And again, we're here being kind of thinking about a lot of things. I want to get on that golf course. I want to do a lot of things. I want to live, have island living. But when you're, sort of in that, 40s and 50s, and you're thinking about this environment, you're thinking about that family getaway, the pool is really a driver of that. And you really think, boy, that's going to be great. We're going to do a lot of bonding and gathering there. And so adults can use it, families can use it. It has a broad impact on folks. Today, your pool is roughly 50-50 use between members and guests. So I think the member use of the facility is a little higher than we might think going in, but as I say, really a magnet for attraction. And so the pool solution that has been developed is one that we see really responding to those to those changes. You'll see about a 60% increase in the amount, the main pool, the size of that, the amount of water available, about another 50% availability in terms of shade and deck and seating area. And you'll see in some diagrams in a moment the way that you create sort of more neighborhoods, right? We have family and kids zone, adult zone, food and beverage area, all of those sorts of things. So a diverse mix of ways to use this, including a permanent bar and grill right on the deck, refurbished restrooms, and all the way out to a higher wall on the seaside there to protect the asset over time from winter storms. Now, this can all be done within the existing pool area, no encroachment on the beach or changes that way. But if those setbacks and lines move for you, then that could be an opportunity that we'll lose. So, the pool is there, like a lot of former pools, or kind of as they originally were. It was about kind of a box of water with a little seating area around it. Today, it's much more about the environment, about what's going on around the pool. And again, we'll walk through this briefly. These diagrams will come your way. There's a little bit of some images of this in the back of the room too, but you'll have opportunities to read closer and see more of the information. But obviously, Seabrook Island Road up here coming in, and Beach Club over here, and we see the pool complex in the middle. Just by orientation, this is the existing kids pool, and the location of that. This is a new main pool in this area, obviously beach down to the bottom. So a lot of things start to happen with the design here. We talk again about the notion of neighborhoods, again more that that family play area, and a variety of seating areas over here, from loungers and kind of a expanded and upgraded deck area there, all the way into sort of sun shelf right in the water, shaded area kind of protruding out into the water, as well as then the pool bar sort of right in the center of all of that. So everybody, we think, can find something to do in this pool. And just going down the code here, that's your existing towel building. That's the existing pool deck. Again, some spray jets to add an element of fun, and a kids activity zone over here. Then we get over sort of in the sitting deck there, pool bar right in the middle of the plan, some artificial turf in here for seating and dining. Then we go over into the new main pool there, with expanded deck area here, the different sort of poolside benches that are part of that. As I mentioned, the sun shelf in the pool, kind of a covered trellis area here and here. The new main pool and ADA ramp, handicap ramp coming down into the water, which is an important aspect of that today. And then the renovated restrooms. So it really touches all aspects of this. Gives us the kind of environment that we really see working today. Again, fun, the two pools with a little social area and bar undercover that we can sit at right in the middle of the plan. Bird's eye looking the other way out towards the beach with the kids pool and the new main pool there. You start to pick up again some of the different seating configurations that are available with that. The kids, activity zone and play area that would be part of the mix with that also. And then another one looking back across now the new main pool as we look to that. So this is the kind of variety and differences that you're seeing in the pool environment today. As I say, it's a lot about what's happening around the water, a place to gather, a place to eat and drink and relax and have fun. Kids are there, adults are there, something for everybody. Great place to run parties and have entertainment. All of those things will be available sort of in that new configuration. So can recommend this highly to you in terms of the experience that you've seen at clubs, coastal clubs and inland clubs alike, the power of a pool implementation program. We move on to think about the Ocean Winds Golf Course, right? And we're really talking here, as it says, implementation of the master plan. The master plan's been around, I think, since about 2015. Those ideas, I think, well vetted and well developed, and it's really about the notion of time to move ahead with the plan. Now, again, we talk about the changing environment of clubs, and I'm an active golfer like many of you, and love it. Certainly we've seen a decline in golf play or those sorts of things, but it's still a very important magnet. It's not going away. And it still really attracts those who appreciate clubs, who really appreciate the game, and certainly those, frankly, who on an annual basis tend to pay the most in dues and and spend the most money in the club. So it's important to be successful in the golf business, if you will. And the quality there to be able to, the playability of the course, the condition of the course, all contributes to that and are vital to our success in that regard. As I mentioned, when you sort of look at the pool area in terms of age, you have another sort of ticking infrastructure issue here, if you will, with the irrigation system now about 30 years old. They're generally regarded to have a useful life of around 25 years. So again, you've managed that resource well. You work it and maintain it, but frankly, parts when they break now are, if not impossible, very, very difficult to come by. And so that's a real challenge. And so this money for the irrigation system, it's in your reserve plan. And within the next 2 years, that's going to happen, right? The time is there to be able to do that. So it's really, again, an issue, kind of an opportunity that presents, and certainly you could go in and just fix that if you wanted in terms of the mechanics of irrigation, but it really presents the opportunity to update the course to modern playability options and just the new approach that we have with design changes, and importantly, avoid a second disruption. I don't think you'd want to go in and sort of replace an irrigation system and the time and disruption that comes from that, and then again, 5-6 years from now, say, geez, we ought to update and make some changes to design and layout. You disrupt some of those investments that you've already made. And there would be another period of disruption and shutdown of the course to be able to do that. So, like a lot of golf courses, you look out there and you can kind of see some, surface appearances. Club, course makes a nice presentation. Obviously, things again change over time as to tees become smaller and unlevel over time as you do that. Bunkers age and wear out. Change shape over time. Certainly drainage issues that come into play, and so it's really that combination of those sort of infrastructure areas. As well as changing playing preferences. So you hired really kind of the best, if not the one of the best of golf course architects, Reese Jones, Open Doctor, and all those sorts of things. Long history and success with the company and with great golf courses around the country, and over the program of developing the plan, a lot of, again, iterations and member reviews and ideas were part of it, and and the committee and board reports, members seemed like we're fired up and ready to roll on making those changes. So again, you just see sort of there's some renderings and again the back of the room, and they'll be in the materials that are sent to you. But we're changing shapes today, and again, you look at bunkering, the course, a lot of forced carries, right? So again, today golf is a lot about optionality in terms of the playability, players of all skill levels. Plus, we tend to be, maintaining larger areas, maintaining a larger bunker. So this is a sketch of saying, this could be very strategic. Obviously, having a bunker right in this location can really defend the hole when you want to defend it wisely, but it would also present options for players that here's a bunker area that you're maintaining. It costs you money to do that. It's frankly frustrating, right, to a lot of players as we look at those long bunker shots, and those kinds of things as you do it. And so modern, we again kind of think through those things today. We can preserve the challenge, but diminish the frustration and continue to have a great golf course. And another sketch the same way. Get a bunker right in the right location, shape it as necessary. If you got a pin up here and you're going for that shot and you miss it, you've made the judgment to pay the price, if you will. You pull it off. It's the part of the challenge of the game. But again, also we can get there other ways, right? And certainly enjoy it. Here's number 12, the par 3, same kind of thing. The X here, right? You don't want to be there, right? It's not a fun spot. Now it's not going to be easy, or it's not going to be putt if your ball does end up in that location. But with grass surfaces and all of those sorts of things, you can actually equalize the challenge between low handicapper and high handicap with those kinds of approaches there. And so you'll have some more receptivity and approaches coming into the holes. You'll have, again, the level of challenge that you want, the right budget, to maintain the course. All of those kinds of things are the benefits of a tune-up, essentially, if you look at that. And as we say, when you're going through the course and you're putting in irrigation heads and all those sorts of things, you want to know where the bunkers are, where the grass is, where that all needs to be laid out. And so really coordinating those two between that irrigation system replacement and ultimately the design of the course is really the message here. I believe it's time and appropriate to link those together, get that done, and maintain the prominence of the club in the golf world, and position us for the next long-term 20, 25 years and more with the right irrigation system. And then finally, our third bucket of this is the Island House and Pelican's Nest. And as Caleb said, beautiful building, and it's really sent a message and provides you a lot of opportunities here to use the club. And we certainly find in our practice the importance of those social areas and the gathering that goes around that really vital to our interactions and socialization within the club. So it's really been a process of thinking about the Island House, and 10 years generally in hospitality, even 5 to 7 years, 7 to 10 years, you really start to see a shift for how we use spaces, how we dress, kind of what's popular, those kinds of things that as you get into it. And so certainly in today's more casual world, and I think what you'll see, and even as you're evaluating these plans over the next few weeks, take a look at the places that you go today. Hospitality design is changing. A lot of the walls are coming down. Open floor plans. That's what we want a lot in our house. We want a lot of that in hospitality design today. And so you're seeing the walls come down. We live in a much more indoor-outdoor world. And that's really the message of what this plan is attempting to accomplish. Now, we want members to use the restaurants, right? I mean, that's, I'd say that's just a driver of, that's how we meet people, we entertain others, all those kinds of things that are, a big part of that. And it's really thinking about the second floor in particular here to provide distinct yet complementary dining options there, and proportion our space well so that whether it's the casual, sort of bar, pubby area in Bohicketts, maybe a little more quiet dining, but active dining in the Palmetto room, or certainly thinking about the DeVoe room and really starting to bring that into play. So that we can have all three of those working in concert with one another is really the message there. And certainly we want to relieve the congestion in Bohicketts so we can get a drink, right? I mean, that's really certainly an important part of the plan, but acoustics and those aspects of it too would certainly be something that's all considered. So the building being so new, the beauty of this is the footprint of the Island House today. And we have this little flesh-colored area over. This is your service yard if you come in the backside there. And obviously golf course at the top of the page, Seabrook Island Road at the bottom. This is the existing area. So there's really no footprint expansion to the building and those sorts of things. We're showing right behind us in this corner where the service yard is a little bit of a service area, storage area expansion. So, relatively very minor in the scheme of things, but something that we think will be very effective. Another aspect that on surface appears minor, but we think is a significant issue, and is ground level members handicap access coming in the club with direct access into the elevator. As you know, today that happens. You go through a bit of wandering through work areas and those sorts of things. Not the best presentation, not safe, and not something that we should do. We can push you right through here, the way the parking is being redone, and come in now and get direct penetration in the building, get to the upper, get to the elevator, and get through the facility here as part of it. So we'll look at some floor plans again, again conceptual images of what those what that may look and feel like as we move ahead. But certainly the big piece of it is Bohicket's, really changing the style of that from a long linear bar that gets congested and sort of doesn't promote the flow and interaction and get people up and moving around, and the ability for that to pop out onto kind of a rooftop deck, if you will, for outdoor dining. You may recall that was a piece of the original plan for the building. It was opted, opt not to do that based upon cost at the time. We think now is a good time to do that. It makes sense. And even again, in that interim period, those 10 years, outdoor dining has become even more popular, and we're obviously a beautiful part of the world to do that. Refurbishment of the Palmetto Room, that really means new furnishings and decor in that space to make it more casual. Low country decor to be defined, if you will, but something that's relaxed yet different. So if I don't want to be by the bar and hear, even with sound dampening, the noise of that, it's an active bar space, you get a little quieter dining. But we also don't want to feel like we're in the penalty box and kind of in a formal room, walled in, overlooking the ocean, and have it sit empty when a lot of times the Bohicket's and other areas are oversubscribed. We like to create better balance between those and invite members to use the entire space. And the final piece of that would be to take the DeVoe room, and the working title, we call it a wine room. You have a really growing wine program here. A lot of, again, another sort of a club within a club that promotes a lot of engagement. You've got a lot of energy going into that program. That can provide the quietest level of dining that can be offered. So, as we say, these can all work together, and we prescribe greater flow area to area. They also work kind of separately. If we want to come up and get the most quiet dining, we can find that in the DeVoe room. So, I'll enlarge this in a moment, and we'll again be sending this to you. So the blue areas are the upper hallway and the circulation. You come up the main stairway as you do today up to the upper level. Bohicket's is at the top of the page, and Palmetto Room's at the bottom of the page. Main entry at this level below. Seaview Terrace here, and DeVoe Room here. So I said, really, the thought is, if you look at that green space through here and then around to DeVoe, again, you think about the rooms today, we're kind of, we tend to, they're kind of shut off one from another, and you sort of create these little boxes. We have some unused space over by the fireplace and living room. Seaview Terrace, not quite as actively used as we'd like today. So the notion of sort of opening these up with, say, an operable door here, even removing the doors here to really create connection and a feeling that I just want to flow from space to space there as part of that message. And same thing, as we say, within Palmetto Room, to be able to be sort of invited into that space. And with a new look and feel there, we think we can drive greater volume there, which will allow you to take advantage of the ocean view and all that, but don't have to do that sort of right next to the bar. So we think all three of these begin to work together more seamlessly than they do today. And you can pick your spot as to, I just played golf and I want to go get a beer. There's a nice bar to be able to do that. You'll see the bar shape change from the linear configuration it is today to more of a U-shaped bar here to promote conversation. And this is an area where we really want you up and moving around and bumping into other people and having fun, right? I mean, that's what's meant to happen there. And then the exciting piece of that is that now where you have the window wall with doorway here, that can pop out onto a new deck area. So this is addition to the building here to create a new deck in this location. A portion of it can be covered by the overhang. We can even create some outdoor seating areas, even around a fire pit or that sort of thing in that location, looking out to the outside. So this sort of pubby grill experience, popping out to an outdoor area, very active, very popular, that you'll see in clubs and certainly hospitality generally today as you do that. And then, as I say, kind of opening up the flow between those areas coming in. You still have a seating area and meet and greet space at the fireplace there, sea view, and then coming through Palmetto Room, all as part of that. So again, today, we're more, sort of separated out in these areas. The window wall here, kind of outside out and inside in. Today, you're trying to, encourage the flow and the connectivity between those spaces. We think we can do that. Again, bar designs, again, over this period of time have just changed from, again, here we have a long linear bar. We're sitting looking at the wall as we do that, yet Mother Nature's right here at our back. The conflict this creates between tables where people are seated and those who are trying to get to the bar, sort of not promoting the flow and activity there. So again, just a concept, but again, something that pushes that out into a peninsula fashion. And higher tables, higher bar top there as part of that, more countertop and more areas to, as I say, get a drink and interact. Maybe a bar rail here that separates if someone is seating at a lower table, want to stand here and have conversation area right here. That's available to us. We want to sit at the table there. That's available to us too. And then with the doorway here, that can pop out to the outside. And so you've got great, sort of ceiling and everything there to ceiling height to make this a very active and fun pubby environment. This would be looking back from the golf course to the clubhouse. Now this is prescribed as extending that roof line and covering that with sort of the hard top being able to do that today. You can maybe have some fans and some other ways to cover that. That's been talked, should that be a piped canopy? It could be different structures is the way you do that. We think this would be ideal, and that's what's in the budget in terms of doing that. You can take a look at how that is, but it provides a nice, porch on the lower level as you have the new outdoor dining up on the upper level, bar right through that window then. Maintains the beautiful architecture of the building through that approach too. And then really within the Palmetto Room is to create life and energy, right? Use this space more. It's obviously top value, sort of real estate, if you will. Takes a view out to the water and all of those sorts of things. So footprint remains the same, really the idea of new decor. And then in the DeVoe Room here, which functions more frequently as a meeting space, you could still have events in there, private events, so it would certainly be capable of that. As I say, we called it the wine room with the notion that along this wall, you can put in wine cabinetry and facilitate a wine club, and members storing wines here at the club is certainly a fun program and a real source of energy. But also a place that for where Palmetto is sort of the formal dining room today, we could shift that over here. We think it's more the right size to be able to do that. So you want the quietest setting when you're coming to the club. Guests are in town or that sort of thing. This would be a nice place to be able to do that. You can also then have your wine events in there and work around the wine lockers and everything else to be able to make that happen. A little bit of an enlargement there. As I say, you can kind of, the final design to be determined, but lockers could span the wall here. It could be set up for a nice wine dinner that way. And in that case, there could be private events in there. Could be a la carte dining in there. Those are all available to you as options as you move through that. Like I say, with operable doors here between what is currently the living room and the Seaview Terrace, we'd like to open that up. That's another outdoor space with ocean view that probably not using enough today, and we think this will help promote that activity. These are just some shots from a project we did down at Sawgrass Country Club down in Ponte Vedra at the beach club there. So again, and not that these are not specifications, but again, you see again this more open seating plan, kind of an eclectic mix of bar top, seating area, dining, bringing those together and having that all flow and be able to work through those spaces. A more casual tabletop with ocean view. Those are sort of, the kind of things being considered in the plan, can be implemented right within that footprint there. We think take greater use of Palmetto and what it provides, and have that whole second level work together. Couple, and again, just the other things within the island house here. Pretty straightforward. One is I pointed earlier to that box to just get some additional storage. Some have said this is the most organized picture of the storage room that they've ever seen. And Caleb wanted to show a good one, but it doesn't always look like this, right? And again, when you build new buildings, how much storage do we need? All those calculations that you make, and the way you use it today, the idea is to just get some more storage here on the building. So really pops out on the back side. It's on the working side of the clubhouse there. Aesthetically, that can be done. And the notion here, again, we pick up a little kitchen space here by taking this wall that's sort of straight behind those doors that you can't see, push that out a little bit. And we're also trying to really kind of designate this stairway, modify this entrance. So we know some members kind of like to go up that stairway to the bar today. But again, we're back in the working area of the clubhouse. We'd really like to have, front of the house, if you will, and back of the house. So just picks up a little bit of space for us, and will more effectively have that separation and provide some functionality and some storage that the staff needs to do that. Your reserve budget contemplates for overtime refreshing these areas and all of those sorts of things. So we didn't see any square footage areas there. And then the final was really this notion of the handicap access coming into the building, an on-grade, convenient and safe way to get into the building. Safety, security, all of that. So that's how that's done today. Coming through the back of the building and accessing this through the work areas. Nighttime going back out, even more of a concern as you do that, and we can really sort of push you through the side here. Remain on grade, put a retaining wall kind of right in here. Kind of deal with this deck area here, serves as kind of a rooftop, protecting a piece of that. You'll punch through and be able to get to the elevator shaft that way. So in plan, that can, this connects up with the handicap parking. We can come across. That's where that picture was showing you where you are, where you will be. We put a retaining wall in here. That platform that we looked at is sort of up in here. That will actually extend out to where a portion of that is covered. But essentially, you can come down that path. We can punch in the building, have a little entry lobby, and come in up there, as opposed to the circulation through the work area today. That's necessary to do that. So we think a nice touch, a nice enhancement, and really it kind of needs to be done. We believe within the plan. And again, final little addition, you're making nice improvements, the Osprey Cafe and the changes that will happen over there. We think those are going to be really powerful and an important project. Again, a little more bar top for a little more drinking, right? Again, we've got to all be for that, I would think. So, the bar today, again, gets overcrowded, competition between staff and member getting to that bar top and everything with that. So really taking what's there and, again, enlarging it through a new configuration. So that's the bar in the same location today, and we're just really starting to pick up more bar top, and I'd say kind of an order station, and so it gets gets separation between staff and patrons using the bar. One other little touch that you'll see in the plans is the notion of a new covered entry and check-in desk here. And with what's going on at the plan, there could be some other, with the pool, there could be some other approaches here that might be effective. But the idea is to more clearly control that entrance coming in. If we can create a walkway coming up to the store and everything else, a little more control about who's coming up to this level or going over to the pool. And so right now you have, again, almost a, temporary kind of table and chair here and all of that sort of thing. Formalize that a little bit. The cover goes over the entire walkway today. Let's, make that decision point up in here. We're coming through, but then somebody here can control that. So a minor sort of touch within the plan, but we think it helps with member guest access and passage through. And then, enlarging the bar top. So it really adds just a sort of another wing, if you will, onto that existing bar. It's in that same location where it is today. We could have that service station and the member area and reduce congestion and improve functionality of what's happening at the bar area. So a lot there, obviously, and as I say, the important thing is to, all this will be sent to you, and get familiar with that over the next several weeks. We'll be looking to get your feedback on any and all of it, and that'll certainly build up into, kind of recommendations as to where we go from here. Certainly your evaluation is influenced by, well, how much does that cost and how do we pay for it, right? So Caleb's going to take us a walk through that part of it.
Thank you, Frank. All right, the financial plan. So when you look at the main projects, the pool enhancements, Ocean Winds Master Plan, the Island House, dining-related changes, the Island House ground level, ground floor entrance, and the couple of changes to the Pelican's Nest Bar and the Gateway. You see the cost there, $2.934, and you see a rough timeline of when ideally we would get started with these projects. Starting the pool first, we would begin that this year, pretty much right around Labor Day. The Ocean Winds Master Plan would start May of next year, as would the Island House changes. And the Pelican's Nest, we would do that during the off season, probably start that in January of next year and have that finished by the time we opened in May of 2020. The board believes that there are great reasons for doing all of these projects. No doubt the cost is significant. Total, the entire package is $10 million. A couple of reminders that Frank did touch on. So why these projects, why all now? The pool enhancement, something we have to remember is that setback and baseline issue. Again, Frank touched on it. It was a big topic of conversation, I think, 2 years ago. McMaster delayed review of the setback and baselines for I think 5 or 6 years, but there's a different set of regulations for pools. Once that setback and baseline moves, and it's going to move to where just about the entire large pool as it exists today will be seaward of the setback and baseline. Once that happens, we're not going to be able to make any changes to the pool whatsoever without going towards Seabrook Island Road, and that simply isn't an option. So that's the challenge with the pool and what's coming up. Ocean Winds Master Plan, the irrigation system, again, also touched based on, is going to be replaced in a couple of years. It just doesn't make sense to spend $1.7 million on an irrigation system and then go back and do some of the master plan work as you undo a big chunk of your new irrigation system. So if we're going to do the Ocean Winds Master Plan, we should go ahead and do it with the replacement of the irrigation system. And of course, Island House dining. We've heard a lot about trends this morning. Trends in our membership combined with industry trends indicate that we have a lovely clubhouse. It's beautiful. It is a little bit more traditional. And that floor plan and how the use of the floor plan and use of the building has evolved since 2009. It's used quite differently today than it was 9, 10 years ago. We feel like we need to evolve that floor plan with that. Of course, the ground floor entrance, we've talked about that. It's a big eyesore, and it is a safety concern. And we do need to keep work areas and member areas as segregated as possible simply because of safety issues. That was an afterthought, building that entrance in there a year or two after we opened the building. And it's time that we really design an entrance and build an entrance the right way. And of course, Pelican's Nest. That bar has been too small from the get-go. A lovely bar, but it is an extremely busy restaurant, extremely busy bar. Workspace is at a premium. Bar space is at a premium, and I think growing this bar would be an excellent change for both member and our team. So option one, there's three options today. Option one that we want to talk about is the board recommendation. You see, it's the whole package, the whole $10 million package. What we would do, we would extend the current loan to 2030, refinance at a rate not to exceed 6.5%. Right now, rates are around 5.5%. The projected member impact with this would be $49 per month for full members, $33 for social, and $22 a month for our community members. Advantages with option one would be we would be able to complete all the projects. It would reduce the overall interest expense to the club. The term of loan would be limited to 10 years, and it would ease the burden of cash flow during poor economic times. The disadvantages, clearly, is that there is an increased cost to our members. Option two, still the whole package, $10 million, but we would handle the financing a little differently. We'd extend the current loan period beyond 10 years to include all costs, which would result in no increases to member fees. So you see the projected member impact there would be $0 for full social and community members. Advantages, again, we'd be able to complete all the projects. There would also be no impact to current member fees, clearly another advantage. The disadvantage, it increases the period of debt. It is a greater cash flow burden to the club. It does possibly impact our ability to fund future capital projects with that additional debt, and it could be a possible concern to prospective members. Option three is reducing the scope to the higher priority projects. We would handle the financing the same way as in option one, but of course we're looking at $6.9 million instead of $10 million. So the projected member payment impact would be $0 for full social and community members. Advantages, we'd be able to complete the higher priority projects, no impact to current member fees, term of loan limited to 10 years, and it eases the burden of cash flow during poor economic times. Disadvantages are the key dining trends that we've discussed today are not going to be addressed, and the Island House, though it is well maintained and is beautiful, will begin to show signs of datedness both aesthetically and operationally. So as Frank mentioned earlier, something that a key point that we really want to be sure that you understand is that the project survey will provide you with an opportunity to select your preferred option, as well as inform us which projects you feel are most important. The choice not to engage in any of these projects will be an option in the survey, though this choice is strongly discouraged by the board. And Frank, you want to talk about next steps? You want me to go right into it?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
I think it just carries on with that.
Okay. Well, here we are. I think this is the slide that you saw earlier, so here we go. Member info meetings, obviously we're doing that now. The electronic booklet with the survey link that Frank had mentioned, that will go out within the next couple of weeks. At that point, we'd like to get your feedback, which projects you like, which option you like, and then we would take that information, that data that we collect, possibly make some adjustments, maybe make no adjustments, and then, again, the final approach, package the referendum and send that out to a member vote. A rough timeline, obviously we're doing the member meetings today and tomorrow. The booklet and survey will go out in late February. We'll tabulate the data by late March. And in April, we'll announce the recommended plan and go to referendum and hopefully wrap up the referendum by mid-May. Want to do this? I will let Frank do the summary.
Well, I think as you look, the power of what you've done before, right? Doing this 10 years ago obviously has set the stage for what you can do from here. And as you saw the recommendation, those who have spent a lot of time thinking about this on the committee and the board believes the recommended approach is the better approach for the club. Certainly I happen to think they're all important projects, and I really recommend the clubhouse piece of it is vital. Clearly, in the pool and the golf course, you really have some motivating factors there to do that. And frankly, the financial plan gives you the opportunity as a community of 1,800 or so members to do a lot, with the individual impact being relatively modest as you get into that. That's up to everyone to judge, but so that'll be your judgment. I would commend to you the process that we're using here is the one that really has been kind of the hallmark of our approach to these things at McMahon Group. We'll be able to sort through this. The surveys, by the way, will come back directly to us. They won't come back to the club. We will do the tabulation and analysis, and we'll make a recommendation to the board based upon what we see there. So, our job is that kind of third-party facilitation of that, and that we'll serve that role within the program there. And as I mentioned earlier, you'll see the results of that survey too. So you'll have a sense of kind of where it stands at that point in time. But we get a lot of participation. We get a lot of feedback. We can work through these decisions and make some important decisions with the wisdom of our membership, and that, like I say, you have the right information at hand to be able to do that. So we thank you all for coming today and spending the time. We encourage you, as the sort of the most loyal and active members who come to meetings and do all those sorts of things, make sure your friends and neighbors understand what the program is all about, that they're providing feedback, they're getting informed on these options, and we're able to create a plan that's in the best interest of everyone involved. So thank you very much. Thanks for being here. Caleb's going to pass around some microphones. Again, the microphone, we probably have pretty good acoustics in here. We do have folks listening online, and so we'll have to repeat the question or, to go through there. So.
Yes. Check, check, check. Here we go. All right. I'll just bring it to you.
Hi, I'm John Sassotti. I belong to the Quechee Club up in Vermont, and in many ways, except that we don't have an ocean, it's a real similar facility. How's this?
There you go.
Okay. I belong to the Quechee Club, which is in Vermont, very similar to here, but we don't have an ocean. It's about 40 years old. We hired the McMahon Group 2014, and we didn't do everything they suggested, but and this is my comment, one thing we did do was we had an old pool, very similar to what we have now, just a rectangle, and we redid it completely, and the amount of people now who go to our pool is increased phenomenally, and it's made a difference in terms of the demographics. So I just wanted to mention that. We were, at least in that regard, we were very satisfied. We're about 1,400 members versus 1,800 here.
Yeah, great club, and yeah, like I say, the pools work. I know that.
I'm Jim Newton. Many of you know me as Fig Newton. Can you hear? Is that better? I kind of think this is like my 9-year-old grandson when he goes in the store. He says, "Buy it for me now, Poppy. Buy it for me now." We're talking about $10 million, which is over $5,000 per owner additional debt. I think it's a great plan for the future, but to spend this kind of money, to me, is fiscally irresponsible. We've got $4.5 million in our bank, and we picked out a reserve number of $3 million that we needed. That was just a number we picked out of the sky. We don't really need $3 million. I get the pool. The pool, we have a timeline on that. We've got to get that done. Everything else could be put in a queue and pay for it as we go. We are scheduled to pay off our loan in 2023. All of the interest that all of us pay go away then, and we have $1.5 million every year that we're using to pay down the loan to fund things like this. I just think it's irresponsible to put on all of us a $5,000 additional debt when it's totally not necessary. One thing I will notice on the committee was primarily full golf members. Full golf members represent less than 9% of the membership of the club. And I think in their thinking in putting the golf plan up there was skewed to their fact that they want these nuances for their golf club fixed. Our golf course is beautiful as it is. So, well, I heard it no, okay, but for any of us that are just regular golfers that go out there all the time, I get an awful lot of compliments on it. So I just think the pool, yes, maybe you need a referendum to get the pool done, maybe not. But beyond that, I think I don't think it's representative of the bulk of the membership.
Well, the great thing about this process, Jim, is that that's exactly what we'll find out, and we'll have that data. You know, as I say, we really don't need to win the debate here today. We're not going to change the plan or anything else. We'd like you to leave here with a good, solid understanding of the plan, and then certainly changes can be made when we do hear from hopefully as many of the 1,800 as we possibly can. That'll really provide a lot of benefits, and then we can really start factually talking about what are the priorities and those sorts of things. So. Who's got the microphone? Mr. Stade.
Hey, Frank. Mike Stade had a question about the ocean winds improvements. Do I take it that the, 3.4 million included the irrigation, correct?
Does not.
Does not.
That's in your reserve budget, though.
Okay. Does it include flattening the 16th fairway? I know the bunker complex. It does. Okay.
Just to answer the question, yes, it does include a recontouring 16 fairway so that it will no longer be crowned. I just blanked. What was the first one? Oh, it does not include irrigation. So it's the 3.4 plus the 1.7 for irrigation, which is on a reserve fund.
Hi, my name is Jack Hunt, and I'm not a real golfer. I go out and play 9 holes every now and then, but the golf community would not include me as one of theirs, certainly. I do play a little bit of tennis, though. The question I have is that I'm aware that water parks are very popular and getting even more popular. Is there any thought in including some aspects of a water park onto at least a children's pool or something like that? I know my niece and her young family would just absolutely love it.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, Don, that's sort of the water jets, and part of that, you get a little element of that, right, are added into the plan here in that activity area by the kids' pool. So I don't know if there's any other to add on that. The water jets or play features is really what's happening there. So it's not water park be a bit strong, but there will be elements added to the kids' pool zone, which will be places to run around and spray and do those sorts of things. No slide in the plan. Generally you have a area issue, right? In terms of when you put those in, you need a lot of space so that people are not sliding into other people and all of those sorts of things. So I think we get some of those things here. There are, further, other things, but there's no slide. It's water jets and activity zone augmenting the current kids pool.
I'm Phil Height. I'm a Sealoft. We've been coming to the island for 40-odd years. Watched all the changes from bankruptcy to what we have today. And again, shout out to all that work hard to make it happen. There's one thing that could have been addressed. I know a number of people have mentioned it over the years since the new Pelican's Nest. Could we include something in the plan, sliding garage doors with windows, something to close it in so that when we have days like today, that it could be used? We've lost many days where it's raining, and if we had like a ice house used to have up there, some pull-down mechanism that could protect us. I know we tried a outdoor seafood dinner one time, the food was in the open, the flies came in and that squashed that. So I think there's a number of us would appreciate some kind of enclosure with glass or whatever you have to do. I can't think it could be a lot of money, but I think it would really increase utilization. Thank you.
I have a quick question related to the pool concept and the slide. has consideration ever been given to heating the pools for March and April and possibly October? I think that would substantially increase the usage. And then my other question is related to the Island House. What is the breakout, or could we save some money with the wine room? Because that seems to be a fairly limited population. And then is there any way of having the current elevator system in the golf storage room utilized by putting a barrier or a wall? Would that save us some money?
Two things there. I'll let maybe Don, I don't know if you want to comment on the pool issue of that. I think we have maybe $300,000 dedicated to the wine room. Again, that's just working within existing space, so probably not a big, again, everybody will judge the cost there, but the wine room's just decor only within that footprint, so probably about $300,000, table, chairs, wine cabinets, all the, kind of the FF&E that goes into that as part of it. I don't think the entryway, again, that's work area, we kind of need that space. It was really planned to have that space, and then we've taken it away by trying to create something through there. Yes, you could build a wall that would permanently separate those areas. It would take away some of the work area that would be part of it, and ultimately do not see that as a significant savings. I mean, it could be a few dollars, but it's probably not in terms of functionality and everything else that goes with it. Third question was about the pool with heating.
The heating of the pool, Chris, the challenge with the heating of the pool, no, there are no plans to heat it. The kids' pool is heated. The challenge with heating an outdoor pool is you're only going to get roughly 5 degrees above air temperature. You're not going to get, unless it's a hot tub kind of situation, which would take an extraordinary amount of power to heat the large pool. If it's an indoor pool like at the lake house, again, you're dealing with an environment that's maybe 70 or 72 degrees, so you can get the water heated. When it's in the winter or in the fall, when the air temperature is, say, in the low 60s, mid 60s, or even 50s, you're still not going to get the water temperature up that much. And I think that because of the hours of the pool as well, the time period in which it would be in demand or in use during those cooler months, the pool is either closed for maintenance reasons or it's just so limited. I think it would just be cost prohibitive. Your other questions? Did I get them? Are we okay? Okay.
Let me address we have in this year's budget to provide for a corridor through the cart barn to the elevator, and that will not be implemented unless this plan doesn't go ahead. If this plan doesn't go ahead, then we will implement that part of the budget.
Yes, my name is Jim Lieb, and I have a lot of interest in Finance Committee. I think I've been on it forever. The one question I have, Caleb, relates to that option 2 that you were talking about. How long would we have to extend the loan for zero cost to the members?
You can do it here, Doris.
The short answer is we don't know yet. If we decide that we can, that the membership decides that they want to extend out beyond the 10 years, then we will have to go to the bank. We're also saying at 6.5% not to exceed, and say, what can you do for us to get us to a point where you're at zero? It could be 12 years, it could be 15 years. I don't know. I just do not know that answer yet. I don't think it would go beyond 17 years, and I think that's way on the outside, but I think we're probably looking at 12 to 15-year loan at this point. So don't take it to, literally don't take it to the bank, because we do not know that issue, but we know it will be beyond 10 years and probably somewhere between 10 and 15 years of future indebtedness.
So 2 to 5 years additional over the plan, estimated as part of that. Who's good?
Sorry, guys.
You want me to?
Anyway, my name's Doyle George. I've only been a member for about 4 years, but I'm a little sensitive to the cost aspect of this. So I'm actually in favor of option 2, where we have historically low financing rates. I think people are sensitive to any increase in dues. There was a recent article in the Wall Street Journal in October about a controversy in a private club in California where pickleball was the issue. And it divided the club, and people left. People who had planned to retire there left. And I think you have to be kind of cognizant of that. The other comment I wanted to make was I'm a non-golfer. And I think I probably represent a lot of non-golfers. I think the dining part of it is absolutely essential. The pool is essential. I think you're a little heavy on the golf club aspect of it, the golf course aspect of it. I think you could cut back on that without really jeopardizing the whole experience. I think you have to decide whether you're primarily a golf club or whether you're a community club. And I think we should err on the side of being more of a community club rather than a golf club.
All right, good. We'll go over there. Tony, I think you have a question?
Yes, my name's Tony Rosowitz. I've been a member here for 2 years, and I never belonged to a club before. And I think of this club as my home. And if it was my home, I would make upgrades to it to keep it nice. I love the plan that the committee members put together. And that's the way I feel about this. And every time I play golf or I'm out, I think I'm in heaven. Because it couldn't be a nicer place. And in order to do that, we have to pay for it. And if we're not willing to pay for it, what will happen? I asked Caleb, and I don't know if Nancy's here from Coastal Getaways. I asked them both. I asked Randy, and if they could put together a plan and tell us how much money that they bring into the club. And since 50% of the members, rentals, use the pool in the area, it only can get better if we just make the changes. So, I always look at the glass as half full, not half empty. And I hope everybody else can do that. And if not, well, that's what makes America great. Thank you.
Good job, Tony.
Hi, I'm Keith Donnelly, and I'm very glad that we're going to be updating the pool facilities. I may be the only one in the room who was the kitty in the pool and brought my own kitties to the pool. So I had 2 questions related to the pool facility. One was, could you elaborate a little bit around what you envision for the kitty activity zone? And then second, did we consider having space for older activities such as like bocce ball or cornhole or something somewhere off to the side as part of the overall complex?
As far as the kids' activity zone, right now what that is an open astroturfed area. Not a lot of detail, again, still pretty high-level conceptual plan. So 2 astroturfed areas, one that we're calling a kids' activity zone just for kids to kind of hang out. We could do some other things with that area, not finalized yet. Bocce and cornhole. Bocce takes up a pretty good amount of room. We did discuss that to a degree, I believe, in committee, but we just don't have a lot of land over there. Our key priorities with this were increasing the size of the pool. We needed to do that, but at the same time maintaining deck space so that we could still fit about 250 chairs around the pool complex. With that, the space it is limited. We're going to continue to look at that to see if we can carve out some space here and there. Cornhole doesn't take up that much space, so that is certainly an option. So we'll keep that in mind going forward. It's a good question. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Nancy Buck with Coastal Getaways. A couple things. First of all, I think the pool is a phenomenal plan. It definitely needs to be updated. When people rent, and I know not everybody rents, but 53% of the operating budget, or approximately that amount, comes from the dues the rental guests pay or the expenditures they make when they come here. When they're on vacation, they will pay any amount of money. They don't care. They'll go horseback riding. As we all know, when you're on vacation, you're on vacation. When you're a member here, it's a little different. It gets to be expensive. We don't let our family members go horseback riding every time they're down here or whatever, okay? But I think the expenditures are good. I think the plan is an excellent plan. My only concern is, and everybody's going to think I'm just an alcoholic because all I think about is happy hour, but when we're upstairs at the Bohicket for happy hour, it is packed right now, okay? And there is no room to move because of the tables. I know when Fig was president, they moved some of the tables out and they put high top tables in, and that was great. And I noticed there are high top tables in this plan, which is excellent. My concern is the bar juts out so far. Is there going to be any room for people when we have room, when we have happy hour or when you have functions? Second thing is we just put those doors in because of noise. Why are we taking the doors out, and why is noise, if we're extending the bar, how is noise going to be less?
Well, either sound attenuation you can put in the ceiling or deadening around the room. Obviously, you do a sound study to figure out ways to do that, but there are other techniques that can be used in a room that's got a lot of hard surfaces to try and minimize what the impact of that would be. Obviously, the opening up is the notion of you're creating that flow. I think you'll have some space today that is not utilized that gets incorporated into the bar, going over towards where the living room is, for example, today. Since those are more dining tables, and again, a final spec plan, how many high tops and all those kinds of things, how much bar rail, all those areas can be further defined. But the space there is the notion is to use more of that would promote flow and have people using areas that can get congested around the bar today to flow through the entire area. So we'll think that you'll see that pattern change from one today of low-seated tables that you're sort of in that zone, and then we're up here creating more of that flow through that space. We'll utilize all the space more effectively than you have today and be able to use that. I think there's enough further investigation in terms of, like say, specifications, table, chair heights, and which ones are where. All those things can be, to be determined. But that's the goal as to what you're promoting there, is to get all of that there. How far the bar comes out, obviously that picks up from a bar today with whatever the 12 or 14 seats. I think we've got 22 or 24 around that. You start to pick up a group there, people standing by the bar. We think, try and make the best use of that footprint that we can, and I think you can get more flow and more activity in that space that you have.
Again, Nancy, this year's budget, we have money allocated to hire a sound engineer to study that area. Now, obviously, that's going to depend upon, are we going to do with or without the plan? If the plan doesn't go ahead, well, we'll just hire that firm and study the area as it exists now. If the plan goes ahead, then we will incorporate the new changes and do a study based on that.
We'll go to Ken, and then I have a couple of email questions I'll address, and then...
I'm Ken Cavanaugh. I was a little shocked when I saw the total cost of the golf plan at $5.1 million. I know what the 1.7 is, but I think we should get to see a breakdown of the other $3.4 million. And as someone suggested, we might need to cut back on that, and there are ways to do that, I think, and still level 16. Is it possible to get those figures, Caleb?
Yes, it is. In fact, I've got them right here. We have it broken down hole by hole, and they're firm quotes from a contractor. There's some fees in there as well, some permitting and that sort of thing. You can look at that, and it's like anything. If you can look at a hole, and if we're going to spend $130,000 on a hole, we could do less and get less. But again, what we quoted, just to understand. Just to put a number to this project for the master plan, was doing the Ocean Winds master plan as was intended and as was planned out by Reese Jones and approved by the board.
Did he put that number on it when he first did it?
Yes, I think. In fact, I think the number may have been a wee bit higher. I think when we first put it together, we were talking 6 or 7. 6 or 7, yeah. For it was, but there's not much on Crooked. That was 6 or 7 for both, but Crooked there really wasn't a whole heck of a lot. It was 90% on Ocean Winds. All right. Oh.
Well, I just got a reminder, if you didn't see it, 500,000 of that budget is for play disruption, right? So, and then on any of, as we look at cost, and again, I caution you, value engineering a conceptual plan is a very difficult and dangerous exercise. And who's qualified to go look at hole by hole and say whether we should spend this on that hole or those kinds of things? Those, it has to be done by, in consultation with the experts as they're involved in it. So you want to be careful, take care, with those things. Additionally, any number that you've seen here today includes an estimate for all fees. And when you're talking about clubhouse, that's furnishings, fixtures, and equipment. That's architects, interior designers, sound engineers, et cetera. Same thing as in the golf and these other areas. So a lot of times we'll look at a construction number and say, gee, that's an awful lot to spend there. But, a good third of that budget is soft costs that you kind of entertain. And it also has about a 15% contingency for those very reasons that as you get into something, you really start probing at it. What's this issue? What's that issue that you have to deal with? So anyway, we'll look at, again, the priorities and the needs, and that'll be sorted through. Gets a little difficult at this point in time to start, kind of pulling this out or that out of a plan. It's all in, and it's meant to give you really the dollars you need to do whatever it is to do it at a quality level.
All right, 3 questions that were emailed. I'll hit those quickly. Our question is, if the pool is the most critical amenity for growth and most popular, will this be the first priority? How soon will this be complete? The answer to that is I don't know if I want to speak on behalf of the committee for this, so I'll just speak on behalf of me, this guy up here. I would say that the pool would be the most critical because of 2 factors. One, the age and current, again, mechanically it's fine, but the age of the amenity is extremely dated, it is extremely old, and the window of opportunity for us to ever do anything with it is quickly closing. So I would say that the pool would be the most critical of the 3 key projects. That's just me. And how soon, ideally we would get started September of this year and be complete for the season next year. So have the pool renovation complete by May of 2020. Couple other questions real quick, and then we'll go back to the audience here. The current decor looks like a retirement home. Will it be redone to more current and engaging style? Ken Cavanaugh says this is a retirement home. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, as things get redesigned and things change, professional designers, decorators will be involved, and it will be adjusted accordingly with trends, with styles, and that sort of thing. I will not be designing anything in the building unless you guys like cow skulls and posters of early 90s rock bands. So if you don't like that, Option 1, all right, final question from the email. Option 1 is great, however, would like dining options prioritized over golf. If scope is reduced, please remove golf. Can pool improvements be accelerated to reduce impact to spring use? Sorry, I just answered that question a second ago. The earliest we could get started on the pool would be September. We don't want to lose any of the current season. People have made reservations with our rental companies. People have made plans for the summer. We don't want to impact those. So the earliest we can get started would be September of 2019, and again, complete by May of 2020. With that, I will continue to... one question here. Go ahead.
Yeah, Paul Reinbold, relatively new member. Couple of questions. One, is the board recommending option 1, which is the membership price increase? Yes. Okay, so that's 2. We talked about the setbacks on the pool. Is this the last time we're going to have a pool? I mean, what happens if the setbacks move back? Does that mean we'll never be able to deal with the pool again? So,
yes.
So this is the last pool we're ever going to do. Okay.
Correct. It's the last time we can make a,
We might update the new one 15 years from now, but we cannot change the shape of the pool to make it, even if it goes
correct.
seaward.
Correct. The shape of the pool as it exists today, the L shape, we couldn't change that at all. We can't increase the size and we can't reshape it. It's been maintained. I mean, it's been relined and it's been retiled and that sort of thing. But if we don't make any design changes now, we'll never be able to make any design changes without, again, pushing back towards Seabrook Island Road, which just isn't possible without us taking over Seabrook Island Road, and I don't think that's going to happen. Yes, we can repair. We can repair what's currently there. We can't change the shape, can't redesign. Right. I think it's 24. I think Mr. Go ahead.
Good morning, Jack Ryan. Since the pool is so critical, and I believe it is, there seems to be a structure that shows on the graphics that is built out over the water of the pool. Now that would create an obstruction in the pool surface area and reduce the pool surface area. Unless I'm misunderstanding what was presented on this display, I don't think that's an advantageous thing to have in the pool, that protruding structure out into the pool surface area. You should maintain the greatest surface area for the frequency of the guests that are here and let them enjoy more area. This way they'd be swimming underneath that structure as I see. Thank you.
Yeah, they would swim underneath it. Obviously, the plan allows the water area to grow by 50%, so it's enlarged quite a bit over today. And you know, you really have demands for both. You know, and as you look at it today, it's a lot. Sure, larger pool water, larger amount of pool water, great, is important to the program. So is enlargement of the social spaces, you know, and so you're always balancing those things. I don't think you'd build a larger body of water if that was there. That tongue where that comes out is really not eliminating anything that I think you would ultimately fill in with water, because you want to fill it in with the fun stuff that is around it. And so it's, again, a judgment of as you go into design, but you get considerably more water in this plan and you get considerably more social areas, and we think both of those have high benefits to the ultimate plan. Well, that's one way to view it. We view it as an enhancement to the pool, not really an obstruction to that, because we think that area is for what it provides. I don't know if you have other comments on that, but you know, I mean.
I don't. I was pulled aside. I didn't catch all of Mr. Ryan's question. We can talk. We can talk privately if you want, Mr. Ryan. I missed part of that question. Sorry. Oh, back there, and then George to you.
Go ahead in the back. Yeah.
Hi, my name is Deborah Hardick, and I'm a relatively new member. I've been here for 4 or 5 years. I think if we're going to be realistic and not think that the world revolves around baby boomers, the reality is golf is a fading sport. And if, you know, and what is the future? It's the pools, the amenities for families, because that's what's coming, ladies and gentlemen. And I think we need to be realistic about this. And those of you who are golfers, of course, I'm sure you figured out I'm not. It's, you know, great. However, your day is fading. And it's important for us to stay current for our property values in order to, and really, you know, look at this realistically. The second point is, did you take into consideration the increase in revenue with these changes for both the pool and the restaurant? And that would be it.
No, not really. You know, as you really look at the economics of this, I mean, we typically see on, you know, food and beverage enhancements and all those, maybe a 25% increase in revenue is average as you do that. But again, those are, I mean, the dollars that drive your financial success are dues dollars, really, and, you know, selling a few more drinks and all those, nice to do, but those aren't really going to fund anything at the end of the day. So we wouldn't want to count on that. We look at those measures as, again, a measure of engagement and that the plan's working, rather than using that as something to fund what's, you know, to fund the project, if you will, or to create net income that ultimately we push back in. If that's a byproduct of the program, great. But we wouldn't want to, you know, on the front end say we're estimating we're going to do this, therefore, you know, we can use that as part of the financial plan. Yes, sir, in the back, yeah.
Henry Devens. I'm a member here and a resident for the last 6 years. I'd like to comment first on the fact that 10 years ago, they took on a renovation plan here and made significant changes at significant dollar value. Where would this club be today if they had not taken that on and done it as quickly as they did it? You'd have nothing to build on. The finances of the club are important, obviously, to a lot of different people, and we have a lot of diversity among the membership here. It's interesting that this plan is being presented to the members, many of whom are full-time members who would get to pay the most. A lot of them are social community members who are asked to pay much less, but who in turn are renting their properties and making nice money off of that. Caleb has mentioned the revenue, which is very important to the club, particularly from the renters. I honestly think we have undervalued what Seabrook has here, what it would be once these improvements are made, and the amenities that we have, whether it's just our beach, horses, the club. I think we undervalue all of that for the renters. Great for the people renting, great for the people who rent, but when they're here and they're generating a lot of revenue, a lot of full-time members or members who spend more time here find it difficult to use the club facilities, frankly. I honestly think, when you're talking, what, $20-some a month for a social or community charge for this plan under option 1, $25 for an amenity card, I'd charge $100. I think Nancy would probably agree with me. These people are coming here. They're going to spend their money. Let them know they're coming to someplace special. And I'm sure the renters or the rentors could either absorb some of that or raise their rents or whatever. Let's let everybody pay who's using all the amenities and the facilities.
Thank you, Mr. Devens. We'll go to Mr. Conveer, and then we're at the 11:30 mark. So I might say that after this question, we will we'll wrap it up. But again, I'll stay here to answer any questions that you have, just for the sake of time and the sake that we purchase chairs for specific limited time period for meetings. We found the most uncomfortable chairs possible so that not to have meetings that are too long. I wanted Matt to saw off a half an inch of each leg to make them even more annoying, but we didn't get there. Anyway, Mr. Conbeer.
Hi, I'm George Conbeer. Up until Saturday, I was on the Board of Governors for the last 5 years, and before that served on a committee that took 16 or 17 months looking at our membership, and particularly to get to one of the questions, the future of golf. In 2013 and 2014, we were pretty well convinced, looking at the demographic changes that we were going to be faced with, that we would be seeing a significant erosion in the use of our golf courses, and that we should be planning for that. That did not happen. In fact, our golf courses are being used today more than they've ever been used. So whatever the national trends are in golf, so far, and this is no guarantee, as they say, of future performance, golf has been a steady, utilization of the golf courses has been steady, at least for the 9 years that I've been here on the island. Second thing is, I'd like to just comment a little bit about the money involved. It seems like it's a big number. But like other numbers, you have to keep things into perspective. In my 5 years on the board, 2 of which were treasurer, we spent $10 million on upkeep. Over those 5 years, we were averaging $2 million a year, very close to, on upkeep, repair, and upgrading of several of our facilities. So that will continue. That will continue, and I believe that that is why we were able to enjoy the beautiful facilities that we have, and every board that I was on, and I'm sure the future boards, are committed to maintaining the high quality of our facilities. Along that way, though, what that meant was that $10 million was all on the backs of current members. And that's as it should be, because We are consuming the club by being members of the club. We are using it up. And so we were very, very blessed with, I don't know, 8, 9 years ago, when we put together a reserve plan to make sure that we had the cash available to make these expenditures as we were using up the assets. What we're talking about today is a different kind. We're talking about the same thing that we looked at in the Horizon Plan. Unfortunately, I wasn't there, but these gentlemen and Ken and everybody were. We're now reinvesting. We're investing new money. There's a term in the club business. It's called aspirational capital. If we do, as some have suggested, and wait and do this incrementally, then we, the current members, are bearing all of that burden. And yet these assets have use lives, as we've seen, of 20, 30, 40 years. Debt is the way to spread that cost over future members who will be attracted by the new amenities and will want to pay for the privilege of using them. So I just want to say, you have to keep, $10 million sounds like a lot of money. And as a treasurer, I was pretty sensitive to all that. And up until the McMahon Group came in, I was really arguing for a lesser amount of improvements, in a total of $5 or $6 million. But when you see what the impact of these changes can make and the prospects of that leading to more and better membership, more better membership experience, the cost that we're being asked to bear is, as my father would have said, bupkis. So I really want everybody to understand that this is, keeping it all in perspective, we are doing things that should be done and we can afford to do them. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming. Greatly appreciate the time. Thank you to Frank Vane and McMahon Group. Enjoy the rest of your day.